If you like these videos, please click like and subscribe so I can bring you more maniacs from the metaverse. It may just be me, but it seems like this guy is just an angry black sideshow Bob that's come to life.
The evidence is going to show.
Go ahead, Sideshow. Please tell us. Please tell us what the evidence is going to show.
That we are under.
What are we under?
Some of the most
ridiculous looking dreadlocks ever.
vicious.
It's definitely more stupid than vicious. I mean, look at it. It's comical. It looks like coral growing out of the seafloor from SpongeBob. He just looks like an idiot.
Lying.
I'm not lying. You just have the worst afro ever. And that face, it looks like someone just pissed in your cornflakes.
Fabricating.
Do these words even make sense anymore?
Fictitious government you ever seen.
Finally, he got to the point. Now we can try and figure out who the woman was who said, yeah, that's my man. We're gonna have babies, and I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with him.
By the time it's all said and done,
What's that?
you will see
What are we gonna see, Sideshow? Please tell us.
who is the mass murderers.
Mass murder? Sideshow, how many people did you kill?
In Tampa Bay,
Just in Tampa, or did you kill people in other places
the
too?
state of Florida.
We know Tampa's in Florida, but please, how many people did you kill?
You will know
That's what court is for, to find out.
why what occurred on March 18, 2018 occurred.
I just can't stop looking at those little afro stalagmites on his head shaking back and forth.
And the evidence is going to show
If the barber killed himself shortly after giving you this haircut, he couldn't live with it.
that law enforcement
What did the cops have to do with it?
tampered with evidence to meet their such high burden of proof.
I think you were high. What makes you think the police were involved?
Because originally,
You're starting to make me wonder, Sideshow.
it wasn't enough.
Could anything in this world really be enough for you?
So we had to tamper with evidence.
They have to do something. They just can't let maniacs walk around.
Since it was such evident already,
It's evident that you're a complete lunatic.
but we still had to tamper with evidence.
If I was on this jury, I would have made up my mind already.
The evidence is going to show
I think I see where Sideshow is going here.
my son did not see me murder his mom.
Yup, I was right. Insanity defense on appeal.
The evidence is going to show
Here we go again.
he did not see me shoot his mom.
He was probably too busy hiding in fear while you were beating her.
The evidence is going to show
I really doubt it.
my son said many things that are not true.
So let me get this straight. First you kill his mother, and then you're going to disparage him in court? That's low, Sideshow.
The evidence is going to show that I called 911 during Kenyatta Barron's 911 call.
You mean they found her blood all over two phones?
But all of a sudden, it ends up after I called Kenyatta. After Kenyatta Barron's call was made, now I'm calling 911.
Sideshow, now you got me totally confused.
But originally, I called 911 without even knowing she called 911
And now I think you're confused.
during her call.
I was right, you're totally confused.
But the evidence is going to show that your
You're what? We're waiting.
representatives
Representatives? What do you want, hold with T-Mobile?
and law enforcement, local law enforcement, wanted to make it seem like I'm some kind of menace to society.
Now I think that's obvious.
And I ran after killing Kenyatta Barron, knowing that authority was on the way
That's what killers do.
to kill my own children.
Oh my God, you killed your kids too?
I wonder why I would do something like that
Everyone's wondering why.
for no reason.
Oh, there's a reason.
And I'm standing here competent as can be, representing myself today.
Listen, Sideshow, I don't think that representing yourself was the best move. You're not displaying competency, you're displaying insanity. Come on, Fruitcake, give us something other than anti-gravity dreads.
The evidence is going to show.
Come on, Sideshow, stop telling us about the evidence and show us something. Tell us something that really matters.
My son did not witness me viciously beat his mom to death.
We know that already. He was hiding when you beat her to death.
The evidence is going to show
That poor little boy's life is ruined because of you.
my neighbor, Khalil Brown,
Wait, I thought Squidward was your neighbor.
whom they are trying to keep out of this trial,
Khalil Brown is probably trying to keep himself out.
witnessed me take 3 strikes
I'm sorry, Sideshow. Are you defense or prosecution? Are you saying you hit her 3 times? I'm really having trouble following this.
The evidence is going to show
That this maniac before you
that law enforcement
is a murder clown.
and this administration wanted to make me look like
Sideshow Bob.
a menace to society.
Okay, I can go with that.
So they added several mini strikes on that video and audio that you just heard.
Because you said it only took 3 shots to kill her, right?
And they added several statements that I did not say.
Sideshow, I also resent the fact that the police are trying to misconstrue your murder confession.
Anything that I may have said,
And you've said a lot.
they exacerbated it
Exacerbated.
and made me say it
They made you?
consecutively over and over like Allahu Akbar,
Let me guess. Now they're trying to make you sound like a terrorist?
which I may have said once
Well, if it was only once.
or twice.
Oh no, Sideshow, not twice.
But they wanted to make me seem like a terrorist,
Sideshow, you did say it twice. That does make you sound like a terrorist.
and so you hear it
Twice.
8 or 9 times,
Sideshow, the terrorist.
and you hear me calling Kenyatta Barron a bitch and a whore.
Somehow, I don't even think terrorists would accept Sideshow. And with that face, he's not doing a good job to convince the jury. I'm thinking Sideshow is trying to get the death penalty to go to Allah.
The evidence is going to show
Is the evidence going to show that you beat her or shot her before or after you called her a bitch?
that I called my dad
Oh.
after calling 911.
Hello, Daddy. I need help. I just beat and shot Kenyatta to death in front of my son, and I need an alibi now. I gotta run. The cops are coming.
But that call is all of a sudden missing from the T-Mobile records that we have acquired from T-Mobile.
Damn, he was on the phone with T-Mobile.
The 911 call that I made to 911 and the 911 call that you just heard
How many different 911s are there?
cannot be proven that it was made because after I called for an investigation of those 911 calls, all of a sudden they become missing from all evidence.
This seems like it's a case for the X-Files.
The evidence is going to show Kenyatta Barron supposedly made a 911 call, but you cannot find that on her call log, which we pulled from her actual phone.
But you said they just played the 911 call in court. What are you getting at?
They say she made a call at 11:43.
And how do you know she didn't?
There's no 911 call at 11:43 on her call log.
Why? Because you killed her before that?
All of a sudden, after I called for an investigation of the original calls,
When I'm killing people, I always know what time it is.
that's what the evidence is going to show.
If I was the prosecutor, I would just rest my case now.
The evidence is going to show I look alone,
You look alone. I don't even understand what that means.
but I am backed by a mighty God.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Allahu Akbar. But you're not a terrorist, right?
The evidence is going to show I loved my children.
Doesn't really make sense. Son, I love you so much. Please don't look while I beat your mother to death.
And the evidence is going to prove to you
That you are the world's greatest murder clown. John Wayne Gacy has nothing on you.
that this whole entire case has been tampered with and fabricated.
Didn't you already admit it?
Before it's all said and done,
I don't know what there is left to say. This case seems open and shut.
I can guarantee you that.
The only thing it seems you can guarantee is that you beat her and shot her.
Mark my words.
Mark your words. What are we supposed to be looking out for here, Sideshow? You already admitted that you beat her to death.
The evidence is going to show
What more evidence could we possibly need? You've already told us everything that happened.
that they say, I said, come out here, son, and help me kill this bitch.
How could they possibly know that, unless somebody told them?
But my neighbor, Khalil Brown, nor my neighbor, Mona Lisa Brothers Gray,
They were like, oh,
or any of her children,
that's what he said, but don't use my name.
Mia
Do
Thompson,
you see this guy?
or Gracie Diggs,
He's a crazy murder clown.
or Mr. Gray heard me say any of those things.
They're not admitting it to you.
In fact, The evidence is going to show that Khalil Brown heard me say she killed me twice and then nothing else.
It's the if a tree falls in the woods defense.
The CRA is going to show.
CRA, what's that?
For some of you who don't know what that is, that's the criminal report affidavit.
Thank you for clearing that up, Sideshow.
That the law enforcement lead detective Thomas Dirks is the author of.
Are we still introducing new characters at this point?
The evidence will show that in that CRA, I told the neighbor, don't come outside. Call 911 now.
How many people have to call 911?
But you don't hear that on this audio for some reason.
Oh no?
But you hear all these other
I'm curious. What are all these other things that we hear?
things that I did not say.
I'm totally lost once again. How could we hear them if you did not say them? I don't get it.
That same CRA will have the statements of Khalil Brown saying that he saw me take 3 strikes with that shotgun.
This is nuts. Sideshow, if you're admitting that you shot her 3 times, I don't know what your defense is.
And nothing else.
This is one of the craziest stories ever. Sideshow here beat his girlfriend half to death, then he shot her 3 times, everybody called 911, and no one heard a thing. What the heck is going on here?
The evidence is going to show
Sideshow has an awful lot of evidence.
that Mr. Harmon here says
Another new character introduction?
that big chunk missing out of her arm was a bird shot.
You did shoot her with a shotgun, Sideshow. What did you think was going to happen?
It was not a bird shot.
This is where Sideshow explains exactly what kind of ammunition he used to commit this murder.
And whatever kind of shot it was, if it was a slug shot or a bird shot,
Which was it?
where's the missing pieces
Is this a puzzle now?
of her arm?
Oh no, Sideshow, don't tell me that you ate the evidence.
Evidence is going to show
If it still exists.
you will not see any missing pieces of her arm
Are you sure?
in that closet
Wait, what?
where she was shot.
I think the audio guy just got shot.
You should see some evidence of shots, but there were several shots added to the wall to make it look like I aimed at her head.
Shotgun blasts other than the ones you made?
That's what the evidence is going to show.
I think what Sideshow is trying to say here is that he only blasted her 3 times, and the cops went out of their way to blast some extra holes in the walls to make it look like he was doing something worse than blasting her. I can see it now. Sarge, does this seem bloody enough, or should I blast a few extra holes?
Remember I told you the evidence will not show you
Where her pieces are?
that my son witnessed me beat his mom to death, nor did he witness me shoot his mom.
I don't get it. He shot her 3 times with a shotgun, but then he had to beat her to death?
In fact, he didn't witness much at all.
Is Sideshow just trying to confuse this jury?
And the evidence will show
Because I sure am confused. I don't know if he shot her or beat her or what.
that my son said my dad shot my mom. Is the correct statement
It sounds like he witnessed the whole thing.
if you want to cite statements.
That's usually what witnesses do, make statements.
If he even said it.
Sideshow, what are you doing? You confessed to the murder, and now you're doing everything you can to blame the cops.
Because I can guarantee you,
I only blasted her 3 times,
evidence is going to show you
and I killed her.
we are under the most corrupt administration you've ever seen in your life.
The evidence is going to show that it's the corrupt police department that's trying to frame me for the murder that I committed.
I guarantee you I wouldn't waste your time.
I wouldn't waste your time confessing to a crime only to turn around and deny it.
I would have already took a plea deal
No one's giving you a plea.
of some kind
They're just contemplating death.
if I knew I did something like this.
Because you only shot her and beat her to death, aiming at her head. Now that's a totally different story. Totally ridiculous.
Because most people don't even go to trial when they know they've killed somebody
Because they're not as crazy as you, Sideshow.
unjustly.
Come to think of it, the way he puts it, it does sound totally justified.
The evidence is going to show you who the killers are.
I don't understand. Who could the real killers be if you admitted to shooting her and beating her to death? You're gonna blame the cops and say they killed her?
I'm pleading not guilty to the charges of premeditated murder,
Of course you are.
attempted murder, aggravated child abuse or battery, arson, resisting arrest without violence.
Sideshow tried to get it all in one day.
And while I'm at that,
What's next?
the evidence is going to show
I can't imagine Sideshow could present any more evidence to convict himself.
that they tased me
How dare they?
for no reason.
He was just holding a bloody shotgun.
But they tampered with that video because they didn't want you to know the truth.
Thank God Sideshow's here to tell us the truth about what happened that night.
And it might sound far-fetched,
Just a little bit, maybe.
but I guarantee you,
Sideshow may be a killer, but he doesn't seem like a liar.
we're going to see who the liars are
I mean, he confessed.
before it's all said and done. Mark my words. Because my family,
Your family? Who's left?
lives were taken.
Yes, Sideshow, lives were taken. But it seems like you were the one that was doing all the taking. From the way you tell it, it sounds like you just cleaned house.
When my daughter was done, this is what the evidence will show.
When your daughter was done?
When my daughter was born,
Bit of a Freudian slip.
it was me who gave the command, the final command to keep her alive when she was on life support. When she was born, 2 pounds, 2 ounces,
It seems that Sideshow is just the arbiter of life and death.
and couldn't breathe on her own. It was me
Sideshow is just taking the credit for everything.
who fought to keep her alive.
But that was before you mercilessly killed her.
But all of a sudden, I just want to take her life for no reason.
I think he finally realizes that he confessed to everything, and now it's time to just understand that it's all over and get on with the prison part so we can let all these people go home. Come on, Sideshow, just let it all out.
I'm asserting justifiable homicide
Nope, wrong.
because I acted in self-defense and moved to protect myself and my children
He must get his power from his hair to come up with something so crazy.
from Kenyatta Barron.
What possible evidence can you have that Kenyatta was trying to kill you and your kids?
I'm going to be showing with evidence several reasonable reasons to doubt the state's allegations against me.
Now the confession kind of makes sense.
The evidence will show that the state cannot prove that I premeditatedly killed anyone
Although you did kill everyone.
because I didn't
Oh, yes, you did.
have any time to reflect
Is that why you got caught so fast?
or plot and plan as if everything happened suddenly and spontaneous.
I understand. Otherwise, you would have made a better plan.
I responded out of pure instinct and heat of passion.
I don't know if there's any other way you can respond. That afro just screams out 100% passion.
Eliminating any kind of premeditated design.
I don't know about premeditation, but you sure
And
eliminated.
let me just say, the evidence will show that since the state plans
Premeditation by the state?
to kill me, if they can say that I killed my family unjustly,
Because killing your whole family is often justified
they plan to premeditatedly kill me,
if you consider a trial premeditation.
so they cannot say or deny me the right to premeditatedly kill Kenyatta Barron if she killed my children.
Am I wrong, or did he just say the state cannot deny him the right to commit premeditated murder if they want to put him on trial for murder? Woo, that's a good one.
The evidence will show that Kenyatta Barron had several medications and drugs such as morphine in her system.
Any normal human being would have to be medicated around you.
The evidence will show she had a domestic history
I'm sure her history was being abused by you.
and was arrested
Because you called 911?
for domestic violence that same year.
Imagine if you had to live with this clown and listen to his arguments day in and day out. I'm sure any normal person would have been convicted of domestic violence 10 times over already.
The evidence will show that she threatened to kill me with a knife just a few weeks before the incident, and she was angry about my relationship with my other child's mom,
At this point, I admit, I don't blame her.
and about the fact that we had to be cordial for our newborn son.
So you had a newborn with a different woman that you were trying not to be violent with.
And the evidence will show that they had been going back and forth and arguing on Facebook and by telephone that whole afternoon before the incident.
Can someone tell me what's wrong with this world that two women were actually fighting over this guy?
The evidence will show that me and my son was at my mom's house while I was putting brakes on my aunt's car.
Is that the same son that you asked if he could come help you kill this bitch?
Me and my son spent the whole day at my mom and dad's house
What were you doing there?
working on the car.
I don't know what relevance this has to anything, but I can only assume that this was before you went home and killed everyone with a shotgun.
When we came back home, I never knew she was arguing with my child's mom, my other child's mom, the whole day.
Arguing with your other baby mama still isn't a good reason to kill her.
That's what the evidence will show.
This is getting ridiculous already. I think the judge needs to send the jury out to start deliberating.
Evidence will show that my daughter was prematurely born.
What does that have to do with anything?
She was autistic.
That's not surprising. You are her father.
My son Ronnie was diagnosed at the age of 3 with developmental delay
Not surprising, same reason.
and had the history of SLD.
Can you explain to us what SLD is, considering the fact that not all of us grew up with you as a father? Please, tell us.
The evidence will also show
I guess not.
that he was present
We know. Come help me kill this bitch.
but does not remember accurately or consistently what happened for many reasons,
It's probably mainly PTSD.
making him unreliable when it comes to the actual facts.
Can you blame him? It was traumatic watching you beat and kill his mother like that.
He also has been diagnosed with PTSD, as he should be, because this is a very traumatic thing that he went through.
A traumatic thing that you put him through when you killed his mother with a shotgun in front of him. I'm not surprised he doesn't have other mental issues to deal with. Any normal human being would be shattered by what you did.
He also was diagnosed with major depression disorder, intermittent confusion, and delirium.
If you don't get put to death for this, then this court didn't do its job.
The evidence is going to show, the evidence and testimony will show that Ronnie Blair, formerly known as Ronnie O'Neal IV, may have been coached on what to say by family members
Objection to argument.
and or law
Wait,
enforcement.
hold on. I will overrule the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. O'Neal, again, jury, this is what both sides believe the evidence is going to show, all right? And again, you will be the ultimate determiner of what the facts are. You may proceed, Mr. O'Neal.
Thank you, Your Honor. And these are also actual
A
facts
small win for the murder clown.
that Mr. Harmon left out when he told you about the report of his former psychologist.
Former psychologist, did you kill him too?
When he told you that he was adopted by his family members, which didn't work out as well, and he had to be placed with another family, which is now the Blair family. In that same report, it talked about how he may have been coached by family members.
Probably the same family members that watched you grow up. They know the truth.
The evidence is going to show that my son was adopted by a detective who formerly worked in this case.
We gotta give that detective a medal. He's the only person in this story so far who's tried to do something right for that little boy.
Whom he now lives with.
Sideshow, tell us, do you have a problem with that?
And I don't have a problem with that because he needs care. But I do have a problem with Mr. Blair being involved in this case, being called as a witness, being the new father of my son, and now he's being called as a witness when he could possibly have been coached by his new father,
Objection.
who is
Speculation
law
and
enforcement.
proper argument.
All right, and again, Mr. O'Neal, overrule the objection. Again, this is what Mr. O'Neal is asserting the facts will be. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You know, folks, it just doesn't get crazier than this.
The evidence will show and prove that very vital evidence was definitely tampered with, which was a strategic omission to cover up the facts of this case,
There's one thing you really have to remember here.
making much more of the evidence unreliable.
This is only Sideshow's opening statement.
as I know for a fact it was altered as well.
This whole proceeding is utterly ridiculous. Ronnie Sideshow O'Neal has at least 41 pieces of evidence so far that he's bringing into this trial. If it takes this jury more than 15 minutes to convict him of multiple murders, well, then they should be put on trial themselves.
The evidence is going to show that the 911 call of Kenyatta Barron is not compatible
Didn't we go over all the 911 calls already?
with what Khalil Brown saw and heard outside
When is the judge going to realize that Sideshow is just stalling?
of my home.
Because this is one of those situations where the defendant realizes that the best that he can hope for is life in prison, and every second he spends outside of jail is better than every second that's going to be inside of jail.
The evidence is going to show,
Are you kidding me?
when it's all said and done,
That murder clown here will be convicted and put into a hole forever.
who put those excessive lacerations on Kenyatta Barron's face.
It was you, dumbass. You shot her with a shotgun.
I can guarantee you that.
There's no way Sideshow Murder Clown can think he's going to be acquitted.
In this trial or the next one,
It's all about the appeal.
I can guarantee you that.
It seems like he's looking forward to the next trial.
Because like I said, I look alone, but I'm backed by a mighty God.
Imagine if Sideshow and Alec Baldwin end up sharing the same cell. They could have their own TV show. They could call it, let's see, Unrepentant Killers. I just wonder who would be the husband and who would be the wife.
And ultimately, it will show
I'm sure Alec would be the wife.
that none of the state's witnesses can draw any conclusions, especially because they didn't see anything that refutes my self-defense claim and theory.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
And nor can the state do so beyond their very reasonable doubts that will be revealed. The very reasonable doubts that will be revealed by me.
I can't wait to see the trial and see all this evidence and hear exactly what the murder clown has to say in his own defense.
And that's all I have to say.